Hi, Anti-Society! Welcome back to the Anti-Social Planet. Today we are checking out some more Vinland Saga, and I am officially stressed about this series. I feel like we had a pretty chill beginning to this season, at least in terms of plot. It was a lot more focused on characters, introducing a bunch of new characters, working through all of Thorfinn's stuff, because obviously, now that he cannot take revenge on Asklav, he's really lost any kind of motivation or focus in his life. That was such a huge part of why he was doing anything for such a long time. We needed to work through a lot of those kinks before we could move on with other stuff. But the moment that Canut came on the screen, I was like, oh, okay, fine. You're gonna stress me out about stuff now. And at the moment, we're this close to Thorfinn being reunited with Thor's friend and maybe possibly going back to his family. And I feel like Canut's gonna mess it up because he wants to get rid of Ketil and put Ulmar in charge of the farm and the land instead. And I just feel like that is going to screw that all up for Thorfinn going back to his family and to his home. And I don't know, I was like so looking forward to the idea of Thorfinn and Canut teaming up once they were reunited, and now I'm like, please do not come in contact with each other at all, because Canut is losing it a little bit. I feel like not only seeing your father's severed head but hearing it talk to you is grounds for concern at the very least. I'm stressed about what's gonna happen, but let's just get into the episode and see what they're gonna do to me as we get into the second half of this season. In 3, 2, 1, go. We're not starting with the opener. Probably means some stuff's gonna go down. I mean, he does like to drink, which is probably why Canut's like, he would be much easier to manipulate. He sure did. Who is the mysterious cloaked figure? I feel like he's more important. Oh, I was just thinking that. I'm like, if you kill this moth, I'm gonna be so sad. And then he immediately did, with a coin of all things. I believe that mysterious person who is apparently very good at throwing coins, of all things. I'm nervous now. I'm always nervous, I guess. My stress levels have elevated a lot, okay? We were just like farming for the first half. Dealing with some personal emotions, yes. But now I'm like, I feel like there's so much like tension building up under the surface. Because I know way more about what's happening than the characters do. And still not enough. But I know enough to know that there's stuff like brewing at the surface. Right between like Canut, then we have the girl that Ketil is kind of obsessed with. She scares me. Now we have this man with the coins. I mean, oh, I forgot about Thorgild. He's also unsettling, but I feel like fairly transparent. I don't think there's anything like brewing really under the surface. He's just scary on the surface. I feel like that's symbolic to have him next to the fly. Gosh, she's looking all like open and smiley. Deception. Is Wolf the guy with the coins? He like already knows what's coming. It's just like wild the theatrics. Which is a lot coming from Moonmire. Honestly. Man loves theatrics. Did it really take 5 of you to do this? The look of disgust on that one guy's face. Fair enough. There's some ominous music building in the back. I feel like this is a bad idea. Like, don't push someone like this. Because, like, I know that they see him as, like, nowhere near a threat because of the skills that he's shown, but, like, a person can only take so much before they snap, right? And if he becomes, if he does get power in terms of, like, owning the land, maybe you don't want to make fun of him before he has some kind of power at his disposal. Also, his brother's scary, so, like, you know, maybe don't poke fun at this particular family. Boy. There's 5 of them there, and you've also proven that you're not very good at this whole swordplay thing. Yeah. You've provoked him enough that he's willing to provoke a fight. He has something to prove now. Is that his brother? Five to 1. I mean, like, I guess it's 1-on-1 right now, but like, again, does it really take 5 of you? For all they're like, oh, he's so weak. There's 5 here. If he's so weak, why do you need help? I definitely feel like his brother's gonna show up. We've set up that he knows what's going on. I'm just like, y'all are so dead. Like, I feel like Omar's not gonna like that because he's gonna want to prove something, right? Like, he needs to prove that he's a fighter. So if his brother comes in and like rescues him, that's not gonna bode well, but is that the prodigal son? I mean, you did a pretty good job of that yourself. Or cry. Sorry if you can hear banging in the background. I have no idea what that is. It's true. I guess, like, given the culture, right? Like, he's gonna have to deal with it. I don't think he has it in him. For all of his anger, I think when it comes down to it, it'll take a real act of desperation for him to kill someone. But I could be proven wrong in the next few minutes. Especially with, like, his brother there, that he might be, like, desperate to, like, prove something to him specifically with him watching, right? Uh-oh. Yeah, I'm like, ooh, dang. Holy crap. I don't think he thought that would actually work. One, because he wasn't expecting his opponent to be blinded, but he was like, oh, obviously he'll probably block this. And he would not actually kill him. Why help, though? To see what Ulmar's capable of? I don't know, Ulmar's not looking too good. Oh yeah, they're dead. Unless they run. Which seems unlikely given the culture, but... Ooh, the way his eyes went white. He's a scary, scary dude. Ooh. The way that he's, like, so focused on the body before him, even with everything else happening. Like, he's literally covered in blood from other fighting happening. And he's still, like, ooh, Jesus! He's still focused on what he's done, right? Yeah. Ooh, the contrast of that shot of, like, Ulmar going through a whole crisis at the killing of one person versus Thorgil, like, relishing in it, like, almost making the fight last longer, like, kneeing that guy, punching people around. Uh, like, didn't need to do that in order to win the fight, right? But did it because it kind of prolonged it. Yeah, they killed a lot of people. There was just some dismembering involved. Well said. Eloquent, really. That they did. It does kind of give them an excuse. Maybe that's why the coin to the eye. To give an excuse to be like, oh, they killed some of the king's men. And now Canut can retaliate by, like, requesting a life in return. The king probably does. For the convenience of it. Yup. I don't know. This time they want something. Normally they don't get punished. But now Canut has something to negotiate. I don't know about that. See how that goes over. He's like calculating though. Like for all his brutality, he is legitimately quite smart and good at reading what's going on. Because even when he was like, normally this, we don't get punished, you could see something in his eyes where he was like, but will that happen this time? Like, is this a normal time? Oof. Maybe not too calculating though. So given that they were expecting Ulmar to be dead, there's probably some other plot going on. Because we know that that's not what Canut wanted. Though he's fighting with two swords, though. You were saying? Oof. I mean, points for wanting to fight anyway. If I saw it just went down, I'd be like, bye. I don't like this job enough. I feel like this isn't gonna go well either way. I don't know if I believe that. Yeah, because he noticed the eye before. Speaking of. I don't think he knows, though. Because they were expecting Ulmar to be dead. So it must be Wolf that we talked about before? Hmm. Yep. To have an excuse. Plotting. You own land. I feel like it's not gonna live. Yep. You specifically. Oh gosh, she's so excited for the idea of there being a war against a king. Yeah, be scared of him. You should be. He's terrifying. Also, him and Snake seem to have some similarities, and that does scare me more. Like, I was like, oh, maybe we like Snake, and I'm like, maybe we don't. Because he was a little scared too. Is this why we're gonna have some kind of war at the farm then? because I was like, I feel like that's what's gonna happen because we were talking about how tranquil it was at the farm. Oh no! Canut, please. Please don't mess this up for me. I know he doesn't know, but like... Thorfinn's this close! This close! Oh, the lizard. There's so many images with like animals in this season that I just find very interesting. Like a lizard, I'm thinking like sacrifices its tail and so it can get away. We've already had sacrifice of like a person so that he can get what he wants. You should be very worried about that, Canut. Look what he became. Like sickly, paranoid, beheaded. Did they leave with the friend that they made? I guess that how they escaped because they didn't take their ships, I'm assuming? Because they were like searched, they would have been let to leave. Right? Oh my gosh, does that mean he's coming to the farm? So he's gonna see Thorfinn? Everything smells of salt. It's the sea. Naif. Keep forgetting his name. On my defense, he hasn't really been important since the beginning of this series. That's really not what he's interested in. Uh. I would assume so. The king is literally out for his head. I'd be in a bad mood too. Yeah. Lumar's having a moment. Gosh, seeing them like caring for the land, and I'm like, oh, it's all gonna be for naught. It's all gonna get messed up when Canut shows up. I'm nervous about this having a sunset too, because usually it's like, oh, sunrises are hopeful, new beginnings. Sunsets are like endings before darkness, right? Like it's the ending of a time of light. Yeah, you should be worried. I don't know if utopia is the word I would use. Yeah. Stress is what I'm feeling. Stress it is. I knew it was gonna happen. I knew we can't have nice things, okay? The moment that it was like, oh, everything's great in Thorfinn's life, I was like, oh, okay, everything is about to be destroyed horrifically. Because that's how this happens. This is how this works, right? I was like, there's no way Thorfinn is allowed to have a quiet existence, get really close to paying off for his freedom, right? Being able to afford his freedom and have a new purpose in life of peace and tranquility and figuring himself out, completely separate from revenge and violence and the upbringing that he had. There's no way that he gets to have a happy ending, at least not at this point in the story. I hope at some point, maybe. I don't really know what that would entail. I was just like, I know the fact that they're like, oh, we could not defend this farm properly if it were attacked. The moment that information was dropped into our lap, I was like, oh, okay, the farm's getting attacked. That's what's gonna happen. Because they told us that were that to happen, there was nothing we could do. And that's why Catil kept making deals with people and bargaining or paying them off in some way. Because he's, if they decide to attack, there's nothing we can do to actually defend this farm. And I'm like, there it is. That's what's gonna happen. There's the foreshadowing. Looks like that's what we're doing. I want Canut to stop. I know that's not what's going to happen, but I know that he doesn't know. He doesn't have the context. And I don't even know that if he knew that Thorfinn was there, if it would matter to him at this point, if that would be enough to sway him, because his brother wasn't enough to sway him. Doesn't seem like anything else is getting in the way of that, because he's gotten to the point where he's king and he's, oh, is this it? Is that all there is to being king? This was this goal that I wanted to meet, and now I'm here and I'm not happy. I'm not content. This isn't enough, right? Which I think is so interesting, having that storyline in parallel to Thorfinn, because Thorfinn's goal for so long was kill Askeladd, right? That was his main goal. Well, Askeladd died. It wasn't at his hands, but he did. And after that moment, Thorfinn's, I don't have anything. He's just completely emptied out. I don't know what to do with myself now, because that was the only thing that I was focused on. That's the only thing that I wanted. Now that Askeladd's dead, what's the next step, right? And I feel like that's the same thing that's happening with Canut. For so long, he was like, I want the throne. I want to be king. I want to have the crown. Now he does. And it's not making him happy. It wasn't a good enough goal for him. It doesn't actually get to the core of what he actually wants or what will actually make him happy. I don't even know if he knows what will make him happy, right? Much like Thorfinn, I don't even know what happiness is. I don't know what it means to be content, to have friends, to trust people, to imagine a future where I get to have happiness or nice things or whatever. He was like, I literally don't know what that looks like. So I feel like it's similar between their two stories. And the difference here is that Thorfinn is not in a position of power, right? He doesn't have any kind of authority, whereas Canut does. He is king. He is king of two kingdoms, right? So he has a lot of power and authority that he gets to wield to kind of figure himself out. Whereas Thorfinn was just hanging out on a farm, right? That's like all he had at his disposal while he was figuring things out and getting to a point where he could process a little bit more about what has happened with him and what he might want at some future point, right? To make decisions for himself in a way that he hasn't in a really long time. Very different positions that they have been born into that have a different impact on the world around them, right? I do think it's really interesting to have those two storylines going on and to have Thorfinn starting to figure stuff out and Canut very much still being in this trenches of figuring it out, right? And both of them having this utopia trope, right? We had Canut specifically talk about making a utopia, and then we have Thorfinn talking about Vinland, right? Which is its own utopia in the stories and the legends and stuff, but very different, right? Canut wants to force a utopia under his rule, and Thorfinn wants to find this utopia that is separated from the world and is going to offer that tranquility of isolation and being away from all of the conflict and stuff. And I feel like that'll probably shift now that I want to prevent conflict and stop this cycle of people getting into conflicts and then their children are trying to take revenge for those conflicts and then their children are taking revenge for those conflicts. The cycle that they're all stuck in, he wants to break that. So I don't think that kind of running away to Finland is going to be the right thing for him at this point, but it's interesting to see so many parallels between them. But because of the position that they were born in, they have very different power that they can wield, authority that they can wield, and the impacts that they have because of the trauma that they're dealing with or this kind of dissociation that they're dealing with is very different, right? Thorfinn has a very low impact on the world as opposed to Canut, who has a very high impact on the world, especially within his kingdoms. So getting to see those two contrasts together is really interesting. But I hope you enjoyed watching that along with me. You can click this playlist to go into my previous reactions, or you can subscribe to miss next time I post a Vinland Saga reaction. I will see you in the next video. Bye!